What's going on, guys? It's C Trades from C Investments over here. We're going to be breaking down my watch list on where I think the stock market could be headed this week. This is not at all financial advice. This is only my opinion. With that being said, let's get straight to the video. So, I do want to make clear and point out for you guys that we're going to have a lot of volatility near the end of the week, right? On Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we have three major news events. Now, those being PMI, GDP, and PCE. I think the biggest one that you should keep an eye out for is on Friday at 8:30. Core price index is really going to tell us where our rate cuts are going to be going, right? Whether the Feds or not are going to cut them next week. So that's going to be massive. Nonetheless, though, these are all going to move the market a lot. So I would most likely keep these times that you don't want to be trading. Obviously, the market's closed on these, but for any future traders, I would map them out. You know, you don't want to be in a position and then a huge wick stops you out because news got released. For my options traders at 9:45, you should not be trading, right? PMI comes out on Wednesday, so just keep an eye out on that. With that being said, I want to go over my watch list. We're going to start with a company that is Microsoft, right? I am very bullish on it. The reason I am so bullish is because we created this divergent on Friday, meaning that we respected our previous low, right? That gives me a lot of bullish structure. You know, if you read this out loud, you're reading higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. It looks like we're creating a higher high. Because of that, I'm bullish on it. We're reacting off this daily fair value gap here, and the reason why it's so important for me, or why I like it so much that we're reacting off this point, is because it's at a previous point where price was struggling to break out of, right? So right now buyers are telling me that it doesn't want to get pushed under that. It wants to hold that and it wants to push higher. If you zoom in on an hourly time frame, we're starting to get confirmation of that. You're starting to show signs of reversal. You're creating highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. Now I'm waiting for structure to get broken out of here. Hopefully a strong break of structure so I could see a fair value gap get created, which then I could see a retracement and I could take this higher to these previous wicks at 457.08. I don't really think anything's going to move this besides the news, right? Like, I think we're going to see that bullish day. The only thing to look out is for the news again. Like, if news comes out negative, then you're most likely going to see a push down. But as of now, if the week goes good and everything stays normal, I really think you're going to see that push back up to at least retest 457.35 and possibly all the way up to 467.36, right? Our all-time highs. I think we are going to break those. I think this is just a leg and we're going to keep going higher. With that being said, I have the same exact kind of prediction on SPY. I think SPY is reacting right now of a daily time frame fair value gap that I really like, right? So on the daily, you see we created a fair value gap before this big entitled move, and it's also at previous point where price doesn't really want to be under it, right? We could see that Friday it closed under that. Monday it's really starting to break out. You're really seeing clear signs on the 1 hour that SPY does have that bullish momentum. You saw the divergent and you're starting to read, you know, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs right now. We did have a consolidation period down here and in the morning, which is why I didn't take this trade I have mapped out, but I'm going to go over it real quick with you guys. I was really looking at price wanting to liquidate these previous lows, right? As it did, sell side liquidity got taken. We broke structure. We created a fair value gap down here, right? Which is everything I look for my setup. We retraced back into it, created a divergent, and we started trading up. Then we had a fair value gap here. We also respected and took back up to buy side liquidity that was sitting at about 554.45, right? 554. We're breaking out even higher now. So that's clarifying my bias. That's clarifying that I think the market's most likely going to have, you know, a push higher this week, that we're going to see, you know, the bull run come. The only thing that could really change that is going to be news. Now, if we switch over to NVIDIA, NVIDIA is one of those stocks right now that I'm kind of iffy about. I don't want to force any trades and I don't want to force any movement on it. We are seeing weakness in the chart though. So if you zoom out to the daily, right, we see that we're nowhere near these previous all-time highs, right? I mean, we are near them, but we're nowhere with strength enough to really break out of them. The last time we were near them, we didn't have enough strength, and we created the divergent that led to the sell-off. The sell-off broke very multiple prominent lows, right? We broke them again. It's reacting again off this fair value gap that it's reacted off before. If it does want to have that leg up, do I think it's strong enough to break all these premium time highs? No, I think we're most likely going to see this wick highs get taken out and then push us back down. I am not as bullish as some other stocks that I am on NVIDIA, even though, you know, NVIDIA has been controlling most of the market, but I'm waiting out to see what's really going on this. I don't want to force a trade. I do think the dip's going to get bought, though. Everyone likes these dips on NVIDIA's, and we're most likely going to see that leg. Do I think it's that really strong leg that's going to break us out of the park? I don't think so, but it's tough to say right now. So my bias on NVIDIA is kind of unclear on our hourly. We're clearly seeing some bullish structure, but I do want to map out how bad it looks, right? If you zoom into it, you see that we've just consolidated. Every time that we seem like we're breaking lower, we just end up trading back up and breaking out. We're finally breaking out, but you're in a bearish fair value gap. You can clearly see the gap here. It's an imbalance, right? What an imbalance is that there's low orders that were placed because price just rapidly went through it. So buyers and sellers can, really take over it. Since there's low volume, if sellers really want to take it, they could push this market all the way back down. Because of that, I am not as convinced on NVIDIA as I am on other stocks. If we zoom out to Apple, I do like Apple. I want to see Apple have that push back up. I do want to see a little bit more of a pullback down. But if we don't, I'm respecting it, and I'm seeing that Apple's most likely going to have that leg up. We already created the divergent. Now I want to see the break of structure, and I would most likely be tailing it back up to these 237.20. These previous wicks are wicks that I want to be aiming for on Apple. I think Apple's not done with its bull run, and I think we're going to see continuation on it. SMCI, though, I'm pretty disappointed on it. I don't think you're going to see continuation to the upside anymore on SMCI. I think the bears are really starting to come in on it. We've seen that it clearly has no strength. Whenever we start making these highs, it gets sold off. It breaks structure and it automatically sells, right? Then again, the stock has been hyped up a lot and there's a lot of manipulation into it. But you are really seeing that we're nowhere near these previous all-time highs, that we keep on trading back lower and lower and lower, and we're not really creating, that structure that we like to see. We were creating it for a little bit, but up until last week, we broke it and we started to trade down. So I think we could possibly see a retest of these wick lows at 668.17. If we break under those lows, I want to point this out. Premium lows got broken. So you're most likely going to see a bigger push down this time to maybe previous points of consolidation. You could see a previous point of consolidation here at like 478, right? I'm not as excited as I am for this next stock. Now we're talking about Palo Alto. I am extremely excited about this stock. I am very bullish on this stock. I've been holding shares ever since this big dip. I promise you, I bought the day after. I called it out. I've called it out on my Discord. I called it out on my TikTok. I talk about the stock all the time. It's very big in cybersecurity. So I think for the long run, you're going to see a very, very bullish momentum from it. Right now, for our day traders and for our swing traders, we're creating that model that you like to see, right? That buy model that you're seeing. We have a divergent that was created during a manipulation move down, right? So let me break it down. Consolidation, manipulation, boom, continuation. So if that happens, I'm waiting for a nice break of structure up here at 345.55, and I'm aiming for the gap fill all the way back up to 360.45. It has empty space to take, and I think it's going to take it. I think before these next earnings that it's going to have, which it's not anytime soon, but before the next earnings, I think we're really going to see the break of 381.16, and you're going to see Palo trading at all-time highs. I've been talking about the stock all the time, and man, I'm very bullish on it. I don't see any momentum down. One stock I'm iffy about, and honestly, I don't like it too much, is Meta, right? And I'm gonna explain why. Whenever we have these big movements down, they do get bought back up, but right now we're not seeing enough confirmation for me to tell you, okay, buyers are really in it. We did have the move down, right? And right now you're seeing that buyers are pushing out, but you're not really seeing that confidence that you want to see, right? You don't want to see any highs get broken. You're not seeing fair value gaps. You're not seeing lows get respected. So with that being said, I kind of want to see something like this, right? For me to stay bullish on Meta, I want to see it continue that trend, have a wick back down, and then break structure, right? Because now you created the divergent, then you would break structure. You'd most likely have an imbalance somewhere around here that it could take, and that would be your entry point to these previous highs, right? Until that happens, I'm kind of iffy on Meta. I'm not really aiming to touch it, but I am looking at it because, it's Meta, so you are going to see some movements on it. I'm not too convinced on Meta and NVIDIA this week. Cat, though. Cat, I am very convinced on this week. I think this is one of those stocks that's going to pretty much ignore the overall market and ignore the news. We saw that it had a big leg down, right, to this daily fair value gap. It got respected. It created a divergence. Then it had the momentum to move all the way back up here at 364.42. It broke structure, right? It respected that, came back down, and it's respecting this fair value gap. So what am I expecting? I'm expecting the break of these for a nice little retracement to then break these, right? Because then you would start reading that structure: higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, right? We have earnings Tuesday the 30th. I don't know if that's this week. I believe that's next week. We're going to have earnings on CAT, which I'm excited to hear out. Last earnings, how did we do? We missed out on revenue, but we did good on overall earnings. We surprised by 8.9%, right? Previous to that, seems like they have a revenue problem, right? But for day traders, you're most likely just going to want to see that push back up. Overall, I am bullish on it. I do want to see where it goes. I'm not going to trade it next week because, again, earnings. But I think this week is going to be one of those stocks that's going to, break out and really see that significant move. These two next stocks I wouldn't touch at all this week, and that's going to be Tesla and Google. I think Google's going to see a nice push on earnings, and we're going to break higher. Tesla, I honestly have no idea, so I'm not going to gamble it. I'm not going to gamble Google either. Playing earnings is a gamble because of that. Stay away from it. Don't try to predict what's been going on and where you think it's going to go. There literally could be anything said in earnings. The company could do amazing, and then for some reason, Elon wakes up and says, you know what, I want to close it. And he could say that in earnings. Even though it's highly unlikely, it could happen. So don't gamble earnings. Wait for price to react. Remember, you're not here to predict their future. You're here to trade off reaction. So once you see reaction, take it. See if you could see any type of trades in it. But until that happens, don't force a trade, right? This is going to be a very volatile week. So because of that, I don't want you in the position where you're forcing a trade. After earnings get released, you're most likely going to see the setup Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday for any of those type of stocks, either Tesla or Google. And you have big impact news. So keep an eye out on that, Don't lose your money trying to force something that you could just trade it next week, Yeah, with that being said, I don't want to lecture you guys, but I want to make sure that you guys have the idea that you should not gamble earnings. And with that being said, I hope you guys have a killer week. If you want to stay updated on where I think my watch list is going or on like certain trades I'm looking at, I'm going to be breaking that all down in my Discord. My Discord should be linked down below. We are going to have a free version coming out soon. By the time I post this video, it might be out already. But, the premium version really breaks down everything that I'm looking at, where I think it's going to go, on my signals and my live trading, which is, I think, by far the most beneficial thing in that. With that being said, I hope you guys have a great day and good luck trading.